What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to play some audio of Jim Gray describing that night when LeBron James made that decision to leave from Cleveland and go to Miami, right? And because I've never heard this before, I had no idea what role Jim Gray played in this decision that LeBron James made, and how he suggested to LeBron James to kind of like how to do it and how to go about it, right? And you know, it also came out that the commissioner at the time, what was his name? David Stern. He was against this, and because David Stern knew that like the way LeBron James was going about it was not the right way to do it. He wanted LeBron James to at least let Cleveland know that he was leaving, not exactly telling LeBron James or LeBron James to tell Cleveland where he was going, but at least let Cleveland know what his intentions were, right? And so the guy Jim Gray, in my opinion, and even at this time, Jim Gray had been in the media for a long time, and I thought that it was kind of not that it was Jim Gray's responsibility to let LeBron James know that like the optics of this and how it would look, but at least don't add fuel to the fire by telling LeBron James like how he should go about it and what he should do in this situation, right? Um, because if you think about it, LeBron James and the people in his camp, they were all basically new to. They had no expertise, like as far as public relations and media and stuff like this. But Jim Gray did. Jim Gray, by that time, he had already, he was a veteran. He still had years and years in the, in media, so he could have at least, at least given LeBron James, I thought, in my opinion, better advice. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play the audio of Jim Gray. I think he was on the Dan Libertar show, and he's going to tell about how everything came about and how everything went down. So here's the media. I mean, here's the audio. Get that.
Did you know, though, that you were doing something groundbreaking, controversial? Like, how'd you come up with the idea? It's fairly audacious to have the ego of, hey, let's do something totally different. Let's do it with me.
Well, I just kind of threw it out there. This was back in the day when guys were going on podiums and putting on hats when they were going to college, and that's how they would reveal where they went. Remember all that, guys? Guys would, not, they'd be sometimes with the coaches, sometimes at the university. And it was just kind of that's what I was kind of thinking is you're going to have a press conference anyway. Why not control it and do your own?
But it's audacious, so Jim. But everyone reacted like before it was even aired. Everyone reacted with who does this person think he is? Not you, although I thought that LeBron.
Well, that's because it had never been done before. David Stern was adamant against this. I believe David Stern called John Skipper and tried to get the whole show killed, and may have even gone beyond him to the powers that be. I'm not sure if it was Bob Iger at the time. I believe it was Bob Iger at the time at Disney, and tried to have this not done because he didn't think that this would be good for the NBA. He didn't think it would be good for LeBron, but it was LeBron taking control. It was player empowerment. And since that time, look at what has happened. I mean, it was the Curt Flood moment really for the NBA. He was going to control his own destiny on his time and do what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it, with Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat, and form with Bosch, that threesome. And super teams had been formed before, but not in this fashion.
All right, so you heard what Jim Gray said, right? And everybody, even going in, other people was advising LeBron James that it wasn't a good look at, and it wasn't a wise decision. And then here comes Jim Gray, and he gives LeBron James suggestions on how to do about it and how to take control. I've always thought that like that player empowerment was it was the beginning of the downfall of the league at that time. I just didn't think player empowerment was good. And now, as far as I like player empowerment, as far as like guys being able to decide where they play at. guys being able to decide like how much you know, that like their contracts and stuff like that. But when it comes to what LeBron James did and the way he did it, it's not like, in my opinion, it's not what you do, but it's how you do it, right? Um, you know, and typically when you have a player of LeBron James stature, they don't usually at that point in their career, you know, he was still young. They don't really move around like that, you know, from team to team. And so that was different. People was thinking about like, all right, now this move LeBron James is get ready. And when he made the decision, I didn't even think he was going to leave Cleveland because I think he was still only, this was the 7th year in the league. And remember, Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship until his 7th year. So I was like, you know, LeBron James was younger still at that time than Michael Jordan was when he won when he won his, you know, his first championship. So I still thought that LeBron James had time to, you know, to turn Cleveland around or to have Cleveland be a better team, right? Especially if LeBron James was the kind of player who was working on his game, developing his low post game, you know, developing his mid-range game. I thought he was going to take that route. But then when he left and went to Miami, you know, the decision just made it even worse. And the fact that he didn't tell Cleveland, you know, ownership what his plans were and that he was leaving, they had to find out on, you know, like everybody else when the decision was announced. I thought that was unfair, right? Now, Jim Gray, like I said, him having so much more experience in the media, he kind of led LeBron James or led him down that path. Not exactly led him down that path, but he just kind of like coerced them, right? And I don't know. To me, it just seemed like the whole situation, like LeBron James was ill advised. I don't know, his guys, you know, who are close to him, they don't have any media experience. They're not in public relations and stuff like that. And so as soon as LeBron James found out that, you know, he could take charge of his career, he felt basically like he didn't have to listen to anybody except for the people in his corner who was everybody was like yes men around him. And he was LeBron James throughout his career, in my opinion, has never really been getting really good advice. Um, you know, he sees leverage as power, which it is, but he don't understand that the leverage sometimes, like the leverage that he had today is not the leverage that he's going to have tomorrow, right? And so now that LeBron James is coming down to like the end of his career, his leverage is only tied to, he only has leverages because he plays in the NBA. Once he leaves the NBA, he don't have any leverage, and so he won't be able to control the narrative. He already he's not able to control the narrative because LeBron James gets so much pushback about everything he say, everything he do. So just imagine when he is not under the umbrella of the NBA. I think it's in my opinion, I just think it's even going to get worse with LeBron James as far as you know, not being able to control the narrative about him. And I think that's going to be probably more frustrating for LeBron James because he's not used to that. And so that whole decision, in my opinion, was a disaster. I don't think the guy Jim Gray really helped him. You know, he didn't offer any expertise. He just encouraged, you know, gave him ways to go about it, which I just thought was wrong. You know, and I don't know what to say, man. I just I thought it was wrong, you know, and I don't like, in my opinion, I didn't like the empowerment because I just think that you have young guys, inexperienced guys who are making mistakes and don't realize it until it's too late. I see a lot of like young guys of the day. I don't see them taking a route like LeBron James did, you know, like moving from team to team. And I don't think guys gonna do that, you know, Kevin Durant moving from team to team because it affects your legacy. The generation before LeBron James and generations before that, they didn't do that. You know, you had you did have teams that were like you know, super teams, but they were put together by the owners, right? You know, owners and management, you know, made trades for different players and stuff like that. And most of the time, it very rarely was it a franchise ball player because teams wanted to hold on to their franchise player. But this player empowerment era, I just think, like I said, guys coming in after LeBron James and Kevin Durant, who else moved around? James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, they're not going to be so anxious as to move around because they see now, like all the pushback, all those guys get because of their legacy. Like everybody, all of those guys who I just mentioned, their legacy is kind of like is not. And although they had some success and they had some really good careers, but their legacy don't have the shine on it that past generations had. It's kind of, like Steph Curry legacy, I think to me is it looks better than Kawhi, LeBron, Kevin Durant, James Harden, like, because he went about it and did it the right way. And I think next generations, I think they're going to go about, they're going to go about it the same way that Steph Curry did. They're not going to be so eager to switch from team to team, especially if they don't have to, or when find themselves in a situation where they're not happy with the coach or they're not happy with management. Now they want to hurry, they just want to get out of here. They don't like it here, then they want to go there. Guys are not going to be they're going to be wanting to and knowing that it's necessary to, at some point in time in your career, you're going to have to work your way through some issues and not have to run from everything. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, check you all out in the next video. Peace.